Awesome.
So RPD, we start the show with this simple question we ask everybody. If you could sum your career up in wrestling in one word, how would you describe it?
Destiny. Bit corny, but destiny, I think.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, it's been a massive saga to me as pro wrestling, and I feel now more than ever that I was always meant to find my way to it, and that's what I mean. Like, I obviously I had a previous career as a boxer, and I thought that was where my life was going to go, and that was how my story went, kind of thing. And then that kind of got snatched from me, and wrestling fell into my life, kind of, and that literally fell into my life, and it's been one of the best things that ever happened to me. To this day, I absolutely love it, but it's given me so much as well, in terms of my own identity and being who I am, you know.
So, I mean, John, every single time we interview somebody, we get a new word every single time, right?
Yeah, it's different. Very different.
Absolutely, man. So, do you know one reason why you kick us off, man?
So, RPD, you mentioned obviously it was your destiny for wrestling then. For people that don't know your story from boxing, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. I've boxed since I was a little kid. My dad was a boxer, granddad was a boxer. It was in the family, and then I kind of uh, played at it really for many years. It was more like a hobby of mine. And then when I hit about 18, 19, I'd been going out. I discovered nightclubs and girls and boozing, and
As you do.
and I started to put a bit of weight on. So I went to the one form of exercise that I enjoyed, which was boxing, and then pretty quickly, then once the weight started coming off me, I was in a gym, and the trainer there asked whether I wanted to, potentially fight, and to be honest, it was one of them things that I just snatched at really, and then never looked back.
Awesome, man. I mean, boxing and professional wrestling is two
very different.
very different. So, how do you go from being a professional boxer to professional wrestling? How's that transition?
Well, again, I was a boxer for 2019 till I was 30, so nearly 10 years as an active boxer, and then I had to retire. I got an injury that forced me to step away from boxing. At the same time, my daughter had just been born, my first child and my only child, and I just spent a year with her as she grew up, watching Disney films with her and eating ice cream and putting weight back on again, because I thought my athletic career was more or less done at that point. And at that point, I got a call from my friend, Johnny Brannigan, who runs Grand Pro Wrestling in Wigan. He's been a friend of mine for many years, nothing to do with wrestling, but he rang me up and he said, Ryan, I know you've always been a pro wrestler. I know you love pro wrestling. And the reason he knew that is because when I boxed, I always came down to the ring to a professional, to a wrestling entrance theme. And it was more to pop my mates in the crowd, because they're big wrestling fans with me. And so I'd come out to like The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin or something like that, and you could see all the boxing fans like, what's this music? But I had a laugh out of it anyway. But anyway, he messaged me and said, would I be interested in doing it? And as I said, I'd put a bit of weight on and everything. And I thought to myself, this could be the perfect thing as a one-time thing to get myself back in shape and something to aim at again. I'd not really had any goals for myself for quite a while. And I thought, this could be one thing for me that will make me get back in shape, more of a vanity thing, because I know I've got to take my shirt off in front of everybody and whatnot. And I thought, it'll get me in shape. It gives me something that I've loved since I've been a child. I got a chance to do it once, and I did. Got myself in really good nick. Had my first match for Grand Pro Wrestling about, I don't know, it was maybe within 3 months of being asked. So it was like a real crash course of of wrestling, and they obviously put me with the right guy, a friend of mine called Timon, who's known as the bad lad Mickey Barnes across Britain, and he's one of the best heavyweights in the country. And I got put with him, and basically from there I fell in love with it that night, and it's been a part of my life ever since.
Over to you, Liam.
Absolutely. So you mentioned obviously wrestling and stuff like that. Is there any elements in wrestling that you found were also in boxing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, again, I realise I've not really just answered the original question there, but it all will tie in. Obviously, wrestling is vastly different to pro boxing and any sort of boxing, but certainly pro boxing. But at the same time, and that's I think why I have stayed at it and stuck at it, is there's a lot of similarities to it. For me personally, it gives me that sort of adrenaline rush that I got from boxing. You're out there in front of a live crowd, and obviously there's something about me that must enjoy that. That aspect of it, at least anyway, and that adrenaline rush that you get from being in front of a live crowd. And although obviously very different, and there are things that to be honest have hindered my wrestling training because of boxing, because you have a few habits from boxing that aren't always great for pro wrestling. There are certain things that have helped me. So for one, I've always been pretty athletic. I've adapted quite quickly to the training. I'm used to hard work and physical fitness and whatnot, which has helped me in a pro wrestling ring, because you have to have these things. And then like simple things like my footwork and stuff has always, I think, because of my boxing training in the past, it hasn't been alien to me to learn wrestling footwork to go with that. As I said before, there are a few habits that aren't always great, and that was more like, obviously as a boxer I'm taught to defend myself and cover up, and obviously as a pro wrestler, this is what the audience sees. So the more I hide it, that's not a great way to kind of connect with an audience. So there have been certain things I've had to adapt to and learn, but yeah, I massively think the reason I've done as well as I've done at pro wrestling is because of the boxing. I don't think it's been a hindrance to me. I think it's been the massive factor of why I was able to adapt probably as quickly as I did.
Okay, well, Breezy, back to you, bro.
Very good. I mean, you've the best of both worlds, isn't it? Boxing and professional wrestling, two good sports. I want to get your opinion on. This is just an off-topic question. Jake Paul.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, listen, you can't knock Jake Paul, can you? Really? Because I mean, the guy knows how to make an absolute shit ton of money. So full credit to him. In fairness, full credit to him. But it's not for me. It's not for me, because as someone who loves pro wrestling, I should like it, but I don't, because I think he's turning boxing into almost pro wrestling, and pro wrestling is pro wrestling, and boxing is boxing, and I do think boxing is sacred in that way, and I think he's making it like a carnival act, the way he's going about things. At the end of the day, money talks, doesn't it? In everything, I suppose. And so, I mean, he's just got this Anthony Joshua fight, which, to be honest, I'm not even mad at Jake Paul. I think it's worse on Joshua than it is Jake Paul. Jake Paul can't lose. Literally, there's no way he can lose. Like, if he gets chinned within 10 seconds, everyone will go, well, yeah, we could have told you that. And if he even lands a couple of punches on Joshua, he'll be hailed a hero. So it's Joshua that's got everything to lose with it. But I can only see it going one way, and pretty quickly, to be fair.
Yeah, he's a bit of a No comment for him.
Yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me. I get what he's doing, and he's gonna make the money, and he does make the money, and he puts a lot of eyes on boxing. But is it the sort of boxing you want people to get eyes on? Is what I mean. You know.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Okay. So I'm looking obviously on your cage matching. It says that you were trained by somebody who I respect really, really much, Sam Gradwell. What's that like?
Yeah, but Sam's a good friend of mine, and again one of the best pro wrestlers in Britain, if not the world. To be honest, he's an excellent pro wrestler, and yeah, Sam's always been a help to me from literally the day I started pro wrestling with Johnny. He was one of the first people to come down to my gym to start helping me train and get me ready for this. Because, as I say, it was a bit of a crash course. And that was a massive honour because I'd seen Sam. I'd seen Sam on the WWE and all that sort of thing, and so yeah, I mean, he's been a massive help to my career, and he still is to this day, to be honest.
Incredible guy. One breezy back to you, bro.
So you've had a pretty amazing year, I'd say. You've obviously appeared countless of times for Progress recently. You've done Josh Barnett, Bloodsport. You've just recently trained with him.
Yeah.
But how do you prepare for Bloodsport? Because obviously boxing, professional wrestling, and then MMA, it's like you're tackling everything at the moment. How are you juggling?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always, although I was a boxer, I've always trained in like all various forms. I like fighting. I've always liked fighting, and I'm interested in like genuinely interested artistically of combat sports. I kind of study them, and I'm fascinated to see how different styles and that sort of stuff. And I've always been like that. So I've always liked MMA, and so I've done a bit of training in MMA. I've done a bit of training in jiu-jitsu. I've done a bit of training in grappling and all that sort of things before. Even before I'd got into pro wrestling, but obviously I've done more of it since I got into pro wrestling too, because I thought that would help me become a better pro wrestler as well. If I understood the mechanics of submissions, for example, and things like that, that can only help me be able to kind of work that into pro wrestling matches. So the Bloodsport one, particularly, I'll be honest with you, it obviously was it is the biggest opportunity of my career today, and probably the biggest chance to get the most amount of eyes on me, that I've ever had. But although it was an honour to be asked, to be honest, but for me personally, I absolutely I loved it, and I didn't find it hard. And what I mean by that is, I think I'm built for stuff like that. Like that to me was easier than putting together a pro wrestling match, because in effect it's like a broken down fight, isn't it? A blood sport fight, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's my sort of thing. It was right up my alley.
Awesome. Over to you then.
Absolutely. So one of the promotions you've done quite a lot of work for, and obviously this is where I've seen you most of your stuff, is TNT. How did that obviously all begin?
So TNT, I mean, TNT have been fantastic with me. Always have been. What happened was I had a year at Grand Pro Wrestling. I made my debut in 2019. I had a year, like one whole year there, where I did I think it was about 5 or 6 shows. And then I wrestled for a few other little companies around that time as well, but not many, to be honest. It was more, I was just trying to get into the business and try and get some reps in while I could. And then obviously COVID hit, and that absolutely scuppered my plans, because, as it did everybody, I suppose, but it scuppered my wrestling plans anyway, because it just delayed everything. So we had that two years or whatever it was where everything shut down, and to be honest, during that time, I thought that would probably make possibly the end of my wrestling as well, because I'd only got a year at it, and I thought, I'll have to kind of retrain again when it all starts back up. And anyway, long story short, as the lockdown started to stop and reopen and everything, I started getting a few contacts, not from Grand Pro because Grand Pro weren't coming back, but I got a few contacts of a few other companies. One being Odyssey Pro Wrestling in Morecambe, a fantastic company that I've become great friends with the owners and the fans there. Another was Wrestle Island in Birkenhead. And their promoter there, I've become a good friend of him. And they contacted me because they'd seen what I'd done in Grand Pro and were interested in bringing me into their company on the reopen. So I jumped at that chance and I jumped straight back in, and I had them matches. And then within a week or two of me wrestling for them companies, I got a call of Jay Apter, who runs TNT, and he had a show. He does a smaller show, like a trainee show he does as well, called Superstar Pro Wrestling. And he had a show on, and he asked whether I'd be interested in doing that. And so I did. I said I would, and I ended up wrestling my good friend Rick Marcus on that show. But obviously, whatever we did, it must have impressed Jay, because within a day of me wrestling on that show, he called me up and he said, "Would you like to be on our next TNT Ignition show? We want a special guest partner for Simon Miller." And this is how quickly the ball started rolling for me. And I'll be honest with you, I thought I snapped his hand off when he said it, but I remember thinking, why would I be a special guest partner for Simon Miller? No one's going to know who I am. I'd never wrestled in Liverpool or anything like that. I'd wrestled predominantly in Wigan. I'd just done Birkenhead, which is close, but that was like one show ever. And I just thought, it's fair dues if he wants me, and I'll take it. But I think this could be a real flop when I come out and they're expecting someone. Anyway, Simon comes out, he does his introduction, introduces me as the mystery partner in my music kits, and Liverpool went absolutely crazy, which was such the nicest feeling, because I honestly didn't think they'd have a clue who I was. But I come out and they started cheering out, chanting RPD and everything like that. So that was a real massive confidence boost for me. And that crowd, that TNT crowd, have been behind me ever since that day. In fact, it's just got bigger since then. And because of that, I think Jay saw sort of the organic relationship I had with the fans there, and that's why I got the opportunities I got at TNT.
Okay, one breezy back to you, bro.
You're also currently the Preston City World Heavyweight Champion. What's that like, to be like the responsibility of a company?
Oh, brilliant! I started working for PCW like a year ago. We kind of laugh about it now, but me and the owner of that company, he'd actually been asking me for quite a long time to come to PCW. Not long after the reopening of COVID, but the problem is I'd taken on commitments to certain companies by that point, and as I say before we come on air, I run a boxing gym. That is my job. I've run a boxing gym with my dad for 10 years now, and that's what pays my mortgage. That's what helps me put food on the table for my kids, for my kid and my missus. And like I say, I don't have the time. I can't do it every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I just can't. I haven't got that time. So I kind of committed to certain companies, and it kind of filled up my calendar to what I wanted it to be, if you know what I mean. And he was always asking me to kind of do 100 on the show, and I was saying no. And I think he was like, not offended, but like couldn't believe I just kept turning him down. But it wasn't a personal thing. I'd taken on everything I wanted to take on. And then this went on for a couple of years. We had like a bit of a running joke where he'd asked me, and I always said no. When he was like, "Okay, I'll ask again in a year or whatever." And then, long story short, last year, a couple of my bookings had changed and whatnot, and I had a space in the diary, and he messaged me and he said, "Hello, it's me again. Would you be interested in me coming in?" Would we be interested in coming in? And I said, yeah. And I think you thought I was joking or something. But and he went, really? I said, no, I've just got a space in the diary now. And I'll come and do it. But again, I came out to that crowd in Preston that day. They were fantastic with me. And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the show, and I enjoyed the people backstage and the wrestlers on the show. And so I committed to him then after that. And again, it's been like a real quick, but a year of like strapping a rocket to me, really, because we've gone from starting on that show a year ago, and now I'm the PCW champion, which is a huge honor, because PCW is a big company with a lot of history, and I've had a lot of huge names over the years as well. And so to be kind of seen as like the face of them now is incredible, really, to be honest. But yeah, very honoured.
Awesome. Over to you.
Is it hard to be a wrestling fan, being involved in wrestling, if that makes sense?
It changes it. It changes it for you, yeah. Yeah, it does, because I'm still a wrestler. I'll always be a wrestling fan. I'm still a mark at heart. Like I watched the Royal Rumble, and I can't wait for the surprise return and all that sort of stuff. But I think any guy or girl who wrestles will tell you that it changes the way you watch wrestling. I think, because I used to watch it and be completely enthralled in the story, which I still try and do. But obviously, you see things now that you probably wouldn't have even looked for before, and you kind of what stage of the match they're in. You know probably how they're going about what they're doing, and yeah, it just changes the way the way you watch is different. You kind of, and in a way, it's not worse. It's double interesting to me, because I watch loads of wrestling now, but I watch it to study. Do you know what I said before about like how I studied boxing and I studied MMA and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that? I study wrestling now because I want to see how guys much better than me do it.
Okay. Well, Reezy, back to you, bro.
So you've also had another company that you've just been started recently working out this year, Progress, one of the biggest in the company, in the UK.
Yeah.
What's that been like for you?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, that Progress have always been a massive goal of mine. Certainly over the last few years, as my profile started to raise, in the Northwest scene and the companies I was working for, I always looked at Progress because, as you say, the scene is one of the biggest companies, if not the biggest company in the UK. And I always felt in my heart that I was good enough to compete there. And so I just waited for my opportunity, and it took a long time, but it came. And I've had two matches there this year now. So the two Manchester shows have done, they've had me on, and I don't know if you've ever seen any of the footage, but the crowd there have been unbelievable for me, like unbelievable. And to be honest, I think that's probably why they asked me back, because they just really got behind me from the second I come out and to the second I walk back through the curtain. So it's a big honour to wrestle for Progress. I love it, and I hope there will. I believe there will be, but I hope there'll be a lot more appearances there in the future.
Most definitely. Over to you, Liam.
I'm going to follow on, obviously, from that Progress thing. What's it like being in the ring with somebody like a Charles Crowley?
Oh, fantastic! Well, I mean, that was literally yesterday. But I mean, again, we've not really crossed paths very often. Me and Charles on shows, a little bit, but not a lot. And but from a distance, I've always been a huge fan because I love what he does. I love the uniqueness of his character. It's literally chalk and cheese in comparison to my character. My character is me, like I've been lucky in that way. My character is just me turned up to 10, I've never had to become a character or anything. I'm just me, and I just obviously go a bit bigger when the cameras are on. But Charles has literally developed there a real character that is funny, but also quite kind of sinister and interesting. And his promos are phenomenal. And you can tell, obviously, of his acting experience and stuff like that. They just look, in my opinion, they look a notch above when in comparison to many others. He's just a great promo. But as I said, never wrestled with him. And yesterday I got the chance, and it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. I loved it. Our styles, although completely different, kind of really meshed well. And I thought we told a really good story between us.
For me, I've always liked that type of wrestling where you get different styles just to see, how they coexist in a way.
Yeah. It was, it was double adjust to me because I didn't know how we would work. To be honest, we were such different polar opposites of characters. I didn't know how it would work, but it kind of did. Well, it didn't kind of. It did work. It did work, and the crowd loved it, and they were right there. But again, it was almost what was really great about it is he's very, very popular at Progress. Really, really popular. And it to the point where I think he was a heel, and they now cheer for him because he's so good. And I went out yesterday, and again, maybe I don't know. It's maybe a common theme. This, but I remember thinking I had a really good reception off Progress the first time I went. Really good reception, but I was wrestling a bad guy, and so I thought this will be hard because he is really popular, and I am technically the outsider still coming in, but we got Julian Chance, which was amazing, and that was almost immediately. And I remember just thinking, I think I more or less said it out loud. We've got him here, and that was before we even locked up. So yeah, it was very, very special yesterday. I enjoyed it very much.
Okay, one brings back to you, bro.
What's the plans for you for 2026?
God knows. To be honest, I mean, 2025, without doubt, has been the biggest year of my career. And I had no plans for it to be I didn't have no real idea how my 2025 was going to go at the beginning of the year, but everything's just really took off. It seems to have just gone up a notch, and I think that is pro wrestling. You get little waves of momentum, and you've just got to do everything you can to try and surf them as best as you can, and get as far on that wave as you can. And like you say, this year, before this year, I could never have said this, but I've wrestled for Progress twice. I've been on Bloodsport now. I think I got in the PWI top 500, which is insane. All these things I've never done up until this year. So hopefully we beat this year, which I mean, if we do, well, I don't know. I'll be WWE champion by the end of 2026 by this rate. But no, I'm only joking. But you understand what I mean? I just want to try and ride this wave that I'm on now by all means necessary, and hopefully we have a really fantastic year next year. I hope so.
Most definitely. Over to you.
So you talk obviously about training and stuff like that. You mentioned obviously studying. You mentioned wrestling. Do you get time to yourself, mate?
I don't. No, not really. No, it is go. To be honest, I am that way though. I am that way. I like to be busy. So I've got my gym, and I'm in there every day, and I've got my daughter and my missus who I'm devoted to, and I always make time for them, and I always will, and every day. So even if I'm wrestling at a weekend, I'll make sure we do something before I go wrestling, or when I finish the show, we'll go out for something to eat or something, because that's wrestling is my hobby, and I love it, and it's become a profession to me. But all that means nothing without my family around me. So I'm very lucky. My partner Laura is incredibly lenient with me and allows me to go and do all this crazy shit that I do, and I thank her for that. But like I say, I think she also sees that I try everything I can as well to be present and part of their life while I do this. It's a constant juggling act. I'm always tired, but I wouldn't want it any other way.
Absolutely. One brings it back to you, bro.
Who's your Mount Rushmore professional wrestling?
Stone Cold Steve Austin straight away. He's my number one. That was my hero growing up. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, I love that guy, and I love the character. I love the whole story. I still to this day think him and Vince is the best feud in pro wrestling. I think it's the thing that, well, it is the thing that made him put WCW out of business. And, you know, it's Stone Cold 100% would be number one. I mean, I've got three more choices, have I? Three more choices. God. Steve, number one, 100%. I wouldn't be interested in wrestling, I don't think, without him. HBK, too. I think Sean was a better wrestler than Stone Cold Steve Austin. In terms of like technical ability and his ability to wrestle any sort of style and put absolute 5-star matches on and stuff like that. But it was more the character of Stone Cold that I loved and made me get behind him. And to be honest, I think that's translated into my own wrestling style, because although I try and obviously put as good a matches on as I possibly can, and without being arrogant, I think I do put a good match on. I also, all my matches are very story based. I purposely do it that way. That's the sort of wrestling that I'm a fan of. Like that, when I think back on matches that I've loved in my life, they're always them sort of matches, the matches that tell a story, rather than the, technical masterpieces. I can appreciate them, but that's not always what I was looking for in pro wrestling. I was looking to be kind of taken on a journey, really, and the build up to the match and everything like that was as important to me as just a match. So Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels. Oh God, you can tell I've never been asked this question, can't you? You could say maybe Brett, because again, incredible, an incredible wrestler. I was personally, in fact, no, not Brett. I'll go Sting because, and I think that sums up my sort of way I look at wrestling as well, because I think most people would probably put Brett above Sting, but for me, I like the character of Sting as well, especially that sort of 97 run he had when he come back as Crow Sting. I thought that was brilliant. And I'd go Sting. I think Sting was a bit of an icon. Who else would I go? It'd be, if I'm honest, because again I look like a WWE mark, but I think I am a WWE mark because that's what I grew up to. But it'd probably be the Undertaker or The Rock. I'll go with the Undertaker because of legacy and whatnot. But I think again we're going down the line of they were two huge characters that sort of impacted the my love for wrestling and even how I look at wrestling to this day, And so I'll go Taker, but I was a massive fan of The Rock as well. So Taker, HBK, Sting, and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, interesting. Right to you.
Okay, so 3 people you'd like to get in the ring with in the UK scene.
God,
Oh,
that I haven't wrestled or I have wrestled.
I haven't.
I haven't wrestled. Right, okay, that's harder. I've wrestled a lot now. I've wrestled a lot of them. up until yesterday, Crowley would have been one, but I've ticked that box. So, who have I not wrestled that I would like to wrestle? God, you're asking me some tough questions on the spot today, boys.
Gotta be.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Who have I not wrestled? I'm honestly struggling to think of who I haven't wrestled. I've never wrestled Dean Allmark, and I would like to.
Okay.
I've trained with Dean. I think Dean's a phenomenal talent, and I think he's someone that I could have a good match with. God, I'd love to wrestle Rampage Brown.
Yorkshire lad.
Yeah, Rampage Brown. Big fan. I was a big fan of him, and I've met him quite a few times. And he's a good guy, and I just think we could tell a good story because he's a monster, and I think we could tell a good underdog story there. Who else? It is just the British scene, this, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just going with the British scene. Oh God.
So many to choose from.
So many, and I don't want to. You start thinking, God, you're going to offend somebody. I'm not. There's so many guys who I haven't wrestled that I would love to wrestle, and I've probably told them that as well to the face. But off the top of my head, on the spot,
Noir.
that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. You've chose for me, so I'll go with that. Because then it gets me out of trouble picking anybody else.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll go with
help you on that one.
that. They're three good ones. They are three good ones.
I'd definitely like to see the Dean Allmark versus RPD. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, well, we nearly had it. We did nearly have it, and he got ill, and that's why it popped into my head because he's one that got away that. So maybe one day, I hope so. I like Dean, and I think he's excellent, and so I'd like to wrestle him. There are so many though. There really are, and then I've gone for some quite experienced heads there as well. You can see there's a lot of young talent I'd like to wrestle as well, but I've tried to go with guys who I've looked up to a little bit because that's what my pro wrestling career has been really. The reason I think I have kind of ascended maybe as quickly as I have is because luckily I've been put in by promoters, been put in really good positions within the said companies, and because of that, they've usually put me with guys who are very experienced, and that has been like a crash course in pro wrestling for me. I've had your Joey Hayeses and people and your Sam Gradwells, and I could go on forever, but I will keep it there for now. But what I'm saying is, I've had guys like that, and a multitude of them who have been able to kind of mold me and tell me where I'm going wrong and what I can do better. And it's like that is how I've learned. That is how I've learned. I've had to learn on the job as quickly as I can, and those experienced heads who are unbelievable. They are unbelievable. They have helped me do that.
Okay. Well, Breezy, back to you, bro.
So, the final few questions. What is your favorite match that you have had throughout your career so far that just springs to mind?
Getting out of this. My favorite match I've ever had. Oh God. God, there's been so many. There's been so many. I've had some crackers, in my opinion. I've had some crackers with Sam Gradwell, and because we're friends, that always sticks out. I'm going to cheat here and throw a few in because otherwise I'm going to offend people. I've had some good matches with my good friend Rick Marcus in Morecambe, which I very much enjoyed because, again, they're very story based and there was a lot of history going into them. So I actually enjoyed telling them stories and being part of them. I've had good matches with another really good young talent called Lance Rivera, and I've wrestled him over multiple companies, and we always put a good match on. My favourite match probably ever would have to be. I'd have to say Bloodsport, but purely because of the scale of it, and what it has meant to probably my career now, and sort of the buzz that I got off the back of that. And I'd never really done any. It was such a. It come out of nowhere to the point that it was just such a big deal to me at the time. And so yeah, I'll go with Bloodsport because it's the biggest thing I've ever done, I think.
Okay, over to you.
I've got no further questions.
So to finish it off then, RPD, what's an inspirational message from yourself?
An inspirational message. God, you're getting tough today. I think with me it's easy. When I packed in from boxing, I was in a pretty low place, and that's why my answer before was destiny. Like I couldn't understand why I dedicated so much of my life towards a sport, and it to ultimately. Now I see things slightly different, but at the time I saw it as ultimately give me not a lot back from it, and it get cut short, snatched from me. But what I would say is that I picked myself back up again, and I found something else in pro wrestling, and that would be my. If you want an inspirational message, that would be it. Like never stop trying, never trying, because sometimes you fall into something you never even expected, and one door closes, the other one opens, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to you. And that's how I feel so lucky about pro wrestling, because it has saved me. I honestly believe that it saved me, because I don't know how I would have been had that had just been the end of my athletic career, the boxing, and I don't know how bitter I would have been because of it. And I'm not bitter at all anymore. I really appreciate. I'm so grateful for what I did in boxing now, and the times and the memories and all them things that I did, and the achievements that I achieved within pro boxing and unlicensed boxing, both. I'm so proud of that now. But like wrestling is a massively proud chapter in my life, and I'm so glad I got the chance to do it. And that would have never happened if I hadn't stopped boxing. And so that's my inspirational message would be just to never stop trying. Just keep trying to find your way, and sometimes you fall into it.
Yeah, I like that one. Over to you,
Absolutely. So as obviously begin to wind down, my man, is there anything you'd like to plug?
No, if you want to follow me, all my social medias are going. So I've got my Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. That is RPD Fighter at RPD Fighter. I'm on Facebook as RP Davies. I'm on Instagram as RP Davies. And if you want to follow me, I'm pretty active on there, and I try and promote everything I'm on and let people know where I'm going to be and promote the shows I'm on. And that's it really.
So what we'll do is we'll put all links in the description of this video, so people, when they watch this, they can go and support you, man. How's that?
Yeah, thank you. That'd be great.
Awesome. One Breezy, you want to wrap it up, pal?
So yeah, RPD, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate your time. Do you know what? Like, we've been trying to work this out for a little while, but finally managed to do it. And I've enjoyed the last 45 minutes of chatting with you. Hope to have you on again in 2026.
100%. Oh, no, I really appreciate you having me on, lads. Like I say, I hope it was all right for you. I hope it was all
Yeah,
right.
it was.
Absolutely, man.
All the best, mate.